Ladies and gentlemen, from the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace and Justice, Deacon Gerald Celente.
Hello, everybody. This is Deacon Gerald Celente of the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace and Justice. Just us. But peace, of course, we won't talk about that because that's prohibited in the mainstream media. You're not allowed to talk about peace. And when you do, they lie about it or they blacklist you. This is an article a few weeks ago in the New York Times. For Ukraine, many anti-war activists in the U.S. make an exception. Yep. We stand with Ukraine. They said a half dozen activists carried homemade signs with messages for pacifism and demilitarization. Stop the killing. Healthcare, not warfare. Pray for peace. But one sign sent a different kind of message. We stand with Ukraine, it read. For these global peace idealists, it seemed, Ukraine's war is worth fighting, or at least supporting. And then they go on quoting nobodies from nowhere. They didn't contact the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice. They're talking about a half dozen activists. We had rally here in May in Kingston, New York, with Occupy Peace and Freedom, where several hundred people were here. We've been having peace rallies year after year, where thousands of people come and rally for peace. Thousands. But they don't contact us. They sell propaganda that you have to support the Ukraine war. This is disgusting. This is the same New York Times that sold we, the people of the United States, the lie that Saddam Hussein was getting those aluminum tubes from Niger or Nigeria or somewhere. And it was proof that he had weapons of mass destruction. Total lie. Yep. The departure from recent American political tradition, in which opposition to the involvement in foreign wars from Vietnam to Iraq and Afghanistan has been strong on the left, while conservatives have been more willing to support the flexing of America's power abroad. Total lie. Not conservatives, because you look at the latest polls. 28% of Republicans, only 28% of Republicans support sending more military and financial aid to Ukraine. This is the latest survey that came out. 62% of the Democrats want to keep the war going. And then you look at the data. 39% of people 50 to 64-year-olds support more war funds. Only 39%. 60% don't want it. 37% of 35 to 49-year-olds support more funding. And I guess the younger you get, the dumber you get, because the under 35s, 46% support more funding to keep blooding in the killing fields of Ukraine. A war that Ukraine is going to lose, that we've said from the beginning. We are totally opposed to the invasion by Russia, and we totally understand why it happened. And most people have no idea. Ask them what a Minsk agreement is. They don't have a clue. Or the agreement made between Gorbachev and Bush Sr. when NATO wouldn't move 1 inch further back in 1991. There were 16 NATO countries. Now there were 31, almost double. So if the Russians were up in Canada and the Chinese were down in Mexico with missiles aimed at the United States, we'd be very happy and accept that, right? Or if you had the Chinese doing maneuvers in the Gulf of Mexico, like the United States and NATO does them off the coast of Russia, that would be fine. We'd be at war. And to show you the ignorance of the system, college grads are more supportive of the war than people that didn't go to college. Because all it is brainwashing. Nothing more than brainwashing. As I said, I was a kid born in the Bronx, went to PS 76, the freedom of 76. First day in kindergarten, time to take a nap. I was taking a nap every day. Out with my mother and my Aunt Cookie, may their souls rest in peace, having the time of my life as a little kid, going to ladies' lunches, going shopping with them, and falling asleep whenever I wanted to. No, now it's time to take a nap. So as everybody grabbed their little pad and laid down on the floor, I just sat there. And Miss Rose said to me, "Gerald, it's time to take a nap." So I obediently laid down. The next day, time to take a nap. And I grabbed the thing, laid down, and as soon as Miss Rose turned around, the kindergarten teacher, whoosh, I ran out of there. And I crossed the Boston Post Road in the Bronx, the major artery in those days before the highways between New York and Boston. They took me out of school because they knew I'd be dead. Now they'd have me drugged up, and they'd make an excuse that I was out of my mind. I wasn't out of my mind. Who is anyone to tell you when it's time to take a nap? How about you take a nap when you're tired? No. You must obey the government. You must obey the system. And that's what I'm talking about. Kids going to college are nothing more than brainwashed to a great degree. No talk about peace. Oh, and they had that the Republican debate this past week. Again, only 28% of Republicans are supportive of sending more weapons of death and aid to Ukraine. Yet, only one of the so-called candidates that are running for office in the 2024 presidential reality show came out against sending more weapons to Russia, to Ukraine. Only one, that guy Ramaswamy. Only one. And he came out against sending more money and weapons to Israel. You are not allowed to do that. You have to send $4 billion almost to Israel every year, one of the richest countries in the world. Tel Aviv is one of the richest cities in the world. So this Nikki Haley, who's running against him, said to him, "No, you want to cut off, you want the aid cut off? Let me tell you, it's not that Israel needs America, it's that America needs Israel. They're on the front line of defense to Iran." Haley said, drawing applause from the crowd. Oh, and then the mayor of New York, the rotted New York City with all the immigrants flooding it and the homeless everywhere and the drug addicted floating in the streets and all the vacant office buildings. Yeah, that mayor, he went to Israel. Why is Israel so important and the Palestinians don't count? Only the Jewish religion counts, not the rest of them. I'm not being anti-Semitic, They are being anti-religious to everybody else. Only Israel counts. I don't want my money going to Israel. I am totally opposed of Israel's invasion and stealing land in the West Bank that they call settlements. And then when the people that have been overrun by the murderers and thieves who stole this land fight back, they're called militants. Just like when the United States invades Afghanistan, invades Vietnam, invades Iraq, the people fighting back are called militants. This is terrible what's going on. This country is going down in front of our eyes in every single way. And I'm not an anti-Semite, and the people that are running Israel are not Semites. The Ashkenazi Jews from Eastern Europe, a Semite is from the Mesopotamia region. And they're on the front line of defense to Iran? What does Iran have to do with the United States? This isn't our issue. You mean the Iran that the United States and the UK destroyed when they overthrew the democratically elected government of Mossadegh in 1953? Because Mossadegh had the nerve, the gall, to say that no, that oil in Iran does not belong to Anglo-Iranian oil, better known today as BP, or Standard Oil, better known today as ExxonMobil. No, that oil is the Iranian people. Why, how dare you? And Winston Churchill, the murderer Winston Churchill. Yeah, he has a great record of loving war, along with Kermit Roosevelt, great-grandson of Theodore Roosevelt, with the CIA and the MI6 overthrowing the government. That's why the revolution happened in the late 70s, because of the dictatorship that the United States and the UK put in with a guy called the Shah. And you never heard about the Savak, the secret police in Iran that made the SS look good. But people have no idea the facts. Nobody talks about peace. And when they do, like the New York Times, they dismiss it. Never contacted us. I was at a speaker at the peace rally in New York City a few weeks ago, August 6th, in front of the United Nations. The crowd there was tiny compared to our peace rallies up here in Kingston. And Scott Ritter was one of the speakers along with myself. People don't care about peace. Where were all the people? This is New York City. They should have been flocking down there. Nobody's talking about peace. You're blacklisted for talking about peace. As I said, the whole society's going down. This is Saturday's New York Times. Mental health spending surged during pandemic. From March 2020 to August 2022, mental health visits increased by 39%, and spending increased by 54%, the study found. This is from JAMA Health Forum. Its examination of 1,554,895 claims for clinical visits also identified a tenfold increase in the use of telehealth. It wasn't a pandemic. According to the World Health Organization, in March 11th, 2020, when out of 114 countries, only 4,219 people died allegedly of the virus, and they called it a pandemic. We have said that this pandemic, the lockdowns, brought to you without a scintilla of scientific evidence, has destroyed the lives and livelihoods of billions of people across the globe. The facts are there. And China, the one that brought us the COVID war on their Chinese Lunar New Year, January 2020, the year of the rat, and their 3 years of zero COVID policy, destroyed their economy. And it's not coming back. None of it's coming back. But don't worry, when all else fails, they take you to war. And you're seeing it with the Republicans that are running for office. They all support more Ukraine war and more war in the Middle East as they give our money, as our people are starving in this country, the infrastructure rotting, to Israel. And if you say anything about it, you're an anti-Semite. And as I said before, don't call me an anti-Semite. I have loaded Jewish friends who are also opposed to what's going on. And 3 of my last 4 girlfriends were Jewish. I am not an anti-Semite. Just as I speak out against America's murderous wars, I speak out against Israel's. How dare they bomb Syria? How dare they bomb Iran? Oh, and Iran can't have nuclear weapons, but Israel can. What hypocrisy. And to speak about the mental illness of what's going on with the children. This is from August 21st. Bloomberg. Gen Z's summer music vibe, sad. Gen Z is searching for sad music on Spotify Technology SA more than any other generation, leading the streaming platform to dub the past few months, quote, a bummer summer for the youth. Mental health? When I was a young guy, summertime, 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 summertime. Yeah, everybody was happy. Dancing in the street. And before my generation, it's summertime and the living is easy. You spread your wings and you make for the sky. Not anymore. It's all so sad. And it's all going down. And if you don't do anything to change it, it's the beginning of the end of life on earth. Because these mentally ill people running and ruining our lives are going to take us to war. The defense minister of North Korea last week said it's not a matter of if there's going to be a nuclear war, it's only a matter of when. And as I say, when all else fails, they take you to war, and the economies around the globe are failing. And just as the people's minds got off the Great Depression with World War II, just as the people's minds got off the dot-com bust with the war on terror, their minds will get off the greatest economic downfall that's coming soon when they take us to war, unless you do something to stop it. It does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority, keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men, said Samuel Adams. And you and I are members of that irate, tireless minority. Donate what you can to the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice so we could get a global peace movement going, and it's tax deductible. So rather than giving it to the government, you give it to peace or Occupy Peace and Freedom. Am I angry? You bet I am. Because I believe in what St. Thomas Aquinas said. He who is not angry when there is just cause for anger is immoral, because anger looks to the good of justice. And if you can live amid injustice without anger, you are immoral as well as unjust. So thank you for tuning in. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's time for another Declaration of Independence. Amen and amen.